Okay, this one is about living with Peter in Tamarama. Uh, like I said, it was right next to Bondi Beach, the big beach which mostly everybody knows, who knows Sydney. And so when I moved in, it was just a two-bedroom unit in that big, huge building. It's got 50 units in there, and Peter was very easygoing. He used to be a model, a model, and but he also his profession was a chemist, an industrial chemist. So we had after we had been living in there for a few weeks, we figured out we have a party that our just invite friends. Now in those days, the situation was that in Australia the pubs closed at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock was final hour, the pubs closing. So so we had this party, and we invited all my friends, and he invited his friends, and the party was supposed to start at 8 o'clock, and it was fine. Come 8 o'clock that night, all my German friends arrived on time. They all were there, but there were about maybe 10 friends, German friends. We had lots of stuff, prepared food and stuff like that, but nobody else. Then we were sitting around talking or standing around, but we didn't have that much furniture, and I was concerned. I said something must be wrong here. I can't understand it. Come and then 9 o'clock, 9:30, and then 10 o'clock came, and about 10 past 10 the door opened, man, and people came in, masses of people. I just never seen people. I mean, most people we didn't know. I mean, they all came in all at once. That means the pub closed, and then somebody at the pub says, oh yeah, well, let's go to my place. And so everybody takes along, and they all come. They have all their beer, and they take along, and they come, and it's a party. And so that was enlightening. I realized, okay, you don't expect people to come on time, so that's okay. Then the problem was, that Peter was an industrial chemist, so he got pure alcohol a lot of times. So we made punches. Fruit punch, and we put the pure alcohol in, and of course you don't taste it. So that means people drank a lot, was a good party, but the people who lived below us, and they had a little garden patch outside the door, outside their back door. In the morning, a lot of people were throwing up into their backyard, so we weren't very popular then. Anyway, so that was our first experience there. Another experience I had there was. Often I went on weekends. I went out to see my uncle in Cabramatta, and so it's about 45 minutes from Sydney. So I got that by train. At the time I didn't have a car, and so on the weekend I went out there, and I come back on Sunday night, and in the middle of the dining table was a gearbox from Peter's car. And he was fixing it, so he just took the gearbox out of his car, put it on the dining table, and fixing it nicely in the dining room. So that was kind of another experience which I wasn't used to, but which was okay. I didn't care. Another thing was I went on somewhere. I can't remember where I went for a period of time, for about a few days, a week or so. I came back. After that weekend, and I looked, and Peter said at the time, he said, look, I painted this big wall. It was a big wall right from the front door right to the other end of the living room, and he says, I'll paint that wall while you're gone, don't worry about it. Okay, so I said, that's fine. So I came back, and the wall was done about 3/4 of the way. It never changed, by the way, afterwards, but it was painted 3/4 of the way. And I said, well, what happened? He says, well, up to about a quarter was the first flagon of wine, and then the next was another flagon of wine. So and then he ran out of wine, and then wasn't interested anymore. So that was another experience I had with him, which was yeah. But we always had fun. I mean, we sat around at night, drinking heavily. I mean, just a few. We had always this big flagons of wine. I don't know how many liters are in there, and we had discussions about the world. We solved all the problems, and we had philosophical discussions and all sorts of things. It was really, really fun, and we had always friends around and stuff like that. And and at one point he got a girlfriend, and he, yeah, and the girlfriend was basically then living with us. Also at one point, Linda, my ex-roommate, moved in because she had nowhere to live, so she moved into our unit for a while, and she lived, in my bedroom with me, but that didn't last very long because, yeah, it didn't quite work. So I slept on the mattress in the living room, and she had my bed, but she moved out after about a month or so, and just moved 2 streets up the road with her boyfriend. Anyhow, then from there, oh yeah, and then Peter's girlfriend was living with us. Jeanette was her name. Yeah, there was one incident where he had his ex-girlfriend from Perth, Lynn, she was a teacher there, came to visit. Okay, so Peter told his girlfriend, at that time she wasn't living with us, that he is going to Perth, and so he wouldn't be here for the weekend. That was okay. So then Saturday night came, and Peter went with Lynn to the pub near us. And who wasn't there? His girlfriend. So, so what he did, that's the kind of guy he was. So he introduced them. He said, okay, that's Jeanette and that's Lynn, and I'm out. So he just left. He left them both standing there, and he left. And that means next day Lynn went back home to Perth, of course. And then, so anyway, then Jeanette moved in. And to cut a long story short, Peter was going to go to Europe for 2 years to do something. I can't remember what it was, studying or working. So he wanted to drive to Perth with Jeanette. With Jeanette in his sports car, his Datsun sports car, and he was going to drive with her across the Nullarbor over to Perth. So he started 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Oh no, he started earlier. Anyway, he started very early, about 3, 4 o'clock or something like that. Started driving. No, that's not true. He started one day. I can't remember. Anyway, it's not a big deal. He started, so the morning after he left, at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I got a knock on the front door. And I went and had a look, and there was 2 cops standing out there. So I said, whoa, what's the big deal? Well, it's Peter Bessler. Does he live here? I said, yeah, well, you're a bit late. He left yesterday, so he is not here anymore. Because I thought he had tickets or something, I don't know. So he said, well, can we come in? And I said, sure, no problems. I mean, he's not here. So they came in and said, well, we just have to tell you that Peter was in an accident. I said, oh, okay. They said, well, how bad was it? Was it, how bad was it? And they said, well, it was a fatal accident. I said, well, yeah, I understand, but I mean, how bad was it? I mean, was he injured or anything like that? Or so, no, it was a fatal accident. I said, I know, I heard you saying that, but what? Now, I didn't know the word fatal. So they had to explain to me that the guy's dead and the girl, So, oh man, And that was, of course, was a shock, you know. So I had to give him his parents' number and things like that. So yeah, that was the end of that saga. It was a shock to me. I mean, he was 28 at the time, very good looking, very smart, and you know, it's just kind of just like that. He was driving on the dead straight road near north of Adelaide, and it was sunset, and there was car stopped in front of him because cows were going across the road, and a truck came behind. The sun was in his eyes, so he couldn't see, and he was full pelt right into that, and that was it. That was the end of it. So yeah, and I mean, I was in shock for quite a long time because he was a young guy like this. Anyway, that's the end of that, and from then on, I can't remember where did I move next. Have to remember that. Okay, that's Tamarama Beach.